Hey, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Processing Blue podcast. I'm Panthers beat reporter Mike Kaye. I'm joined by fellow Panthers beat reporter Alex Zietlow for the Charlotte Observer. Alex, it's been a while. There's been a lot that's gone on. We've been to rookie minicamp. The schedule's been announced. We've covered golf. We went to a Knights game, which if you live in Charlotte and you have not been to a Knights game, that stadium is almost unparalleled as far as minor league parks that I've been to. Not that I've been to a lot, but it's a fun experience. Got to watch a home run and a walk-off 10th inning 2-run homer, so that was cool. But you're not here for baseball. You're here for football. And speaking of football, guys, Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad that you got in it's so funny. We spent our off days together at a baseball game. That was kind of insane. It was kind of ridiculous. But
it was education day and literally an entire flock of kids were there, which I think is kind of interesting. Like, you wouldn't think like education and baseball unless there was a lesson, I guess, to come out of it. But I was kind of confused by the messaging there. Anyway, Alex, carry on. I'm sorry.
no, exactly. I didn't understand the messaging there either. You had a really good joke. Wait, so on education day, the teachers take the kids out of school? So there's that. Also, dude, that ballpark was just shrieking. Like, my head was splitting with like high pitched shrieks after that game. It was
Welcome to being a parent.
Yeah, no. I will say, like, you were just like, oh yeah, this doesn't faze me at all. And I was just like, dang, really? Oh my God. But yeah, no, today I'm doing good. We're recording this on a Friday, actually, and I play pickup basketball on Friday morning. Speaking of being an adult, that's like apparently what you do. You wake up super early and play basketball at 6 a.m. And nah, it was good. I played really well. I played so well that like I was shooting the ball and the ball was in the air and I was already talking like before the ball went in because I knew how good it was been. But anyway, we don't gotta rehash all that. I've just been up for a while and I don't drink coffee, so I don't really do the whole caffeine thing, and I'm just going and going and going, and I'll just ramble until forever. So, Mike, what do we got on the schedule today for our Processing Blue listeners?
Well, as a coffee drinker, I've come prepared with a rundown that I think will at least open up some conversation beyond the Processing Blue podcast regarding the schedule, regarding minicamp, and we're going to go through it all. But today is a fun day. I don't really like doing season predictions when the schedule comes out. One, because we already know their opponents, so it kind of feels a little cheap. But also, it's May. It's kind of hard to predict stuff. Like, if you remember, even last July, Jonathan Mingo looked like a rosterable player. So did Terrace Marshall, and we all saw how that went. So take this all with a grain of salt. But we're going to go down the schedule and have some fun. We're going to break up the schedule kind of in fours. Obviously, the last 5 games will kind of stick out because this is a 17-game schedule and it doesn't line up perfectly anymore. Thanks, NFL. But yeah, so Alex, let's go through the first 4 games of the season. And before we do that, I just kind of want to present this. So I tweeted this on Thursday. I did a little bit of research, as we do at the Processing Blue podcast, because when you look at the schedule right away, it's very clear that, one, the Panthers are playing 3 road games in their first 4 games of the regular season, and they don't have a bye until week 14, which seems brutal on the surface. But in the interest of fairness and transparency, I figured I'd go through the schedules of all the teams and kind of show how this is not necessarily just the Panthers being punished or getting an unfavorable start. So the Panthers and Bengals are the only 2 teams in the league that play 3 road games in their first 4. Unlike the Panthers, though, the Bengals go road, home, road, road. The Panthers go road, road, home, road. So it's a little bit different there. There are 4 teams, the Panthers, the Giants, the 49ers, and the Bucks, who start the season with 2 road games. Of those teams, 3, the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, and the San Francisco 49ers all had week 14 buys.
Well,
So it's not like the Panthers are like this sole entity that is got to like slog on through this road gauntlet and then get to where they need to be. But I just wanted to throw that out there before we start. I know there's, everybody reacts in a certain way, but I actually think the first half of the schedule, if they can stay healthy, is somewhat like favorable. Like if they can stay healthy, which has been very hard for them, especially with Derek Brown returning, if JC Horn can have another healthy year, they don't have to worry about an inside linebacker being injured in the first month, hopefully. Then they can carry on from there. So let's start. Okay, so September 7th, they'll open their season at 1:00 in Jacksonville. Astute fans would know, as it's been pointed out by every tenured beat writer in the city, as well as every fan blogger in the city, or in and out of the city. I mean, some people don't blog from Charlotte. Every year that the Panthers have started a season against the Jacksonville Jaguars, they have gone on to the Super Bowl. Now, there are a couple of ways of looking at that. They have never won a Super Bowl in franchise history, so making a Super Bowl run and then losing is not necessarily the most, optimal thing, but that would be a heck of a jump for the Canales crew. What do we'll do analysis after every 4 games, but who do you got winning that one?
I think this is so difficult. I do just want to say up front that we reserve the right to change our picks.
No, we don't. Not right now.
No, not like right now, but I'm saying like closer to the season when we make our.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's so much to be gained, so much knowledge to be gained. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars winning this game and the Panthers losing. Obviously, I really like Travis Hunter. As I'm really compelled by this Etienne brothers matchup. I got to talk to Travis Etienne over at the Jaguars prior to this year, and he talked about Trevor really glowingly. Trevor obviously was drafted by the Panthers this recent NFL draft, but I still think that a week 1 road game is very difficult. It just is, and so I got the Jaguars winning week 1.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Jaguars are going to win that first one. I think Liam Cohen, just in general, has outperformed Dave Canales throughout their career trajectories. And remember, Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who just absolutely walloped the Panthers late last season. So I'm agreeing with you. We said we'd limit our commentary until the end of 4, so we'll figure it out. You're fine. Then they go to the Cardinals in Arizona, September 14th. Scottsdale's going to be hot. So is Chandler, where they actually play. I actually have the Panthers upsetting the Cardinals in this one. This reeks of like the Raiders game last year. They also beat the Cardinals last year. I called it throughout the season that they would beat the Cardinals. I also called it throughout the season they beat the Raiders. I think the Cardinals in their first win. So I have them going 1-1. What do you got?
I have them going 0-2, them losing. I like what they did. I like what the Cardinals did in the draft. Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, 1-2. I like that.
Week 3, they're finally home September 21st at 1:00. Man, one of the perks for a beat writer in covering the Panthers is those 1:00 starts. You can get a lot done. Anyway, they host the Falcons. I have a win here. I had them starting 2-1. What do you got?
I got the Panthers' first dub against the Falcons in their home opener. So do I. So I'm at 1-2 with the Panthers.
My son clearly is amped for that game. Okay, so right now, entering week 4 on September 28th at 1:00 at Gillette Stadium, I have the Panthers 2-1. You have the Panthers 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Panthers starting off 3-1. I think they beat the Patriots. I think that roster is not talented at all outside of Drake May and a couple of really talented guys like Milton Williams. we'll get into it after you make your pick. But yeah, 3-1. I think people get excited. What about you?
Uh, I'm gonna go 2-2. I think the Panthers do get a win over the Patriots, but like, oh my gosh, I have been eating up this. I mean, maybe it's the Drake May effect, but I've been eating up the Patriots offseason stuff. But I'm still rolling with the Panthers winning that one.
So let's kind of get into this.
Okay.
I think the first month of the season, while featuring 3 road games, features a lot of comparable talent. I don't think the Jaguars are a particularly good team. They are coming off picking, well, they weren't supposed to pick first overall, but they came off picking 5th. I don't think the Cardinals are particularly great. I agree with you. I do like what they did in the offseason. I am a big fan of Garrett Williams, the Charlotte native, who's taken over a corner for them. I don't know. That just kind of screams to me as like hey, this is a reason to be excited sort of game where they win 27-24 in the final minutes. The Falcons, they always play each other tough and they always split. I think the Falcons are going to kick the Panthers' teeth in Atlanta. But I think this one's one where they kind of sneak out with like a really impressive win of like 27-20, but it doesn't feel like 27-20. It feels like 40 to whatever. The Patriots, I just don't think the Patriots are super talented. Mike Vrabel, I'm a big fan of, but I just don't see the talent there right now. What do you have to add to the first 4?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said. I looked this up and it didn't end up being the most fruitful statistic, but the Panthers are facing every single divisional opponent for the first time at home. So in other words, the first time they meet the Saints, they're in Bank of America Stadium. The first time they meet the Falcons, they're in Bank of America Stadium. First time they meet the Bucs, they're in Bank of America Stadium. And so you can look at that one of two ways. I would choose to look at that as a positive because if you're trying to carve a way to the playoffs or carve your way to being competitive come the bye week in week 14 is really what the Panthers should be striving to do this season. You got to be competitive in the division. And I think having home games to start off the division is really good. That said, I looked up the Panthers' home record in the division for the past couple of years. They were 1-2 last year, 1-2 in 2023, and then they were 3-0, but that was in 2022, and that was between Matt Rule and Steve Wilkes. And so, while you're already looking at 4 different coaches in those past 3 years, so it's kind of hard to discern how exactly this team fares against their divisional opponents at home versus on the road. I still think that's a positive thing, and obviously, I chose the Panthers to beat the Falcons week 3, so I'm putting some stock in that there. But outside of that, that's all I really have to say about the first 4 games.
I think that's a great point you bring up, Alex. But my counterpoint to playing teams early at home, while that's great, I also think it's similar to Dave Canales said. We're playing a lot of road games early, so then we have a bunch of home games late. Well, if you're playing a lot of road games later, that could kind of mess with your momentum.
Yeah.
In theory, if by that logic. But yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so let's get into week 5. So December 5th, at 1 p.m. at Bank of America Stadium. It's the second home game. I have the Dolphins coming in here and pulling off a loss, and this is one of the ones where I actually think it'll be a striking loss to where everybody's gonna be like, well, at this point I have them as 3-2, and people are going to say, well, did they just beat up on bad teams? I actually think the Panthers are probably comparable in talent, but I do think this defense is going to struggle against speed, and the Dolphins have a ton of it. And so I'm going to go Dolphins over Panthers in week 5.
Same here. That's what I got. Dolphins over Panthers.
Okay, so let's get to week 6. A home game for Los Angeles Lakers and New York Yankees fans. Now, I've done the research. The NBA will be in the preseason at the time, but the Yankees could be in the playoffs. So when the Panthers host the Dallas Cowboys at 1 p.m. on October 12th, there will be a lot of Cowboys fans in the stands. I'm conflicted by this game. On one hand, I don't think the Cowboys are particularly talented. On another hand, I think the Panthers shouldn't feel overzealous about how much better they are. Who do you got in this one?
I got the Panthers triumphing in this one. They're going to be, I mean, Miles Sanders is going to have a great game because assuming that he's, healthy and playing and stuff, for the Cowboys. But I think the Panthers pull it off. Also, haven't the Cowboys visited Bank of America Stadium like the last 3 years? Maybe even more than that. It's insane how often.
I think at least 3 of the past. Oh, is it 3 straight? Because I thought it would. For some reason, I thought they weren't here in 20. Yeah, actually, you're right. Because my favorite picture of Derek Brown is a picture of him making a tackle on Rico Dowd, and I used that for my story in 2023. So yes, this would be the 3rd straight year. Lucky them.
Yeah, lucky them. But I got the Panthers winning this one.
I do too, but I think it's going to be one of those to the wire sort of. It's going to be similar to the Cardinals game last year where like Chuba ran for a touchdown at the end. I just don't think the Cowboys are very talented. I know that Troy Aikman predicted them to win the Super. I just I don't see it. I think they have a lot of talented players. I don't think they're a talented team. I think it's a close one. So right there, I have them as 4-2 and you have them as 3-3. Like that's correct.
I think so. Yeah. I was just doing the math.
So I think that's pretty exciting considering the season's basically been over by week 6, the past 3 years. Okay. So week 7, Mrs. Kaye's birthday weekend in the great state of New Jersey. The New York Jets will host the Panthers at 1 p.m. Again, I don't think the Jets are very talented, but this strikes me as a game where the Panthers, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. It just strikes me as one of those October games. I have the Jets sneaking by. I think they're going to be very high off this Cowboys win, and I think the letdown is the Jets game. So, I have the Jets winning this one, so that brings them to 4-3.
That for you, it brings them to 5-2, I believe.
No, 4-3.
Are you sure? Because I was 3-3 after. Okay, so are we both 3-3 after the Cowboys? I thought
had them as 4-2, so now they're 4-3. That's 7.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well then. Oh, okay. Well, I am. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I have them winning, so I'm gonna have.
Okay, so now we're both at 4.
Now we're both at 4-3. Okay, got it. Sorry.
That's math, kids. So I think this is where the schedule gets kind of tricky for a Southeast team, and I'm not a big the Northeast, blah, blah. But it's going to be interesting the month of October into November. So the Buffalo Bills come to town with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen and hopefully Haley Steinfeld. 10:26 on a Sunday at 1 p.m. I have the Bills winning that one. That's the first game where I'm yeah, I got no, it's done. Sort of thing. So that would bring them to 4-4 by my count.
Yeah, it's an L. 4-4.
Okay. All right. So we've been through the second 4. So we have them going. Well, I think we all had oh no, we didn't have an identical record. So in the first half, the first 4 of the season, I had them going 3-1. You had them going 3-1 the second. Right? You had in the second quadrant. We basically just flipped. So we both have them as 4-4. Here's the thing. I think the first 4 games are surprisingly favorable if you can ignore road trips. I think the second is where it kind of becomes a jump ball for all of these things. These games, these first 3, I could see them beating the Dolphins. I can see them beating the Cowboys. I can see them beating the Jets. Really, the only big bad in this quadrant is the Buffalo Bills, and so I find that kind of interesting. But I think being 4-4 after week 8 would I mean, the fan base would be elated. What's your take?
That would be insane. Like, I couldn't even imagine covering a 4-4 team. At this point, I'm not even joking. The last time I think the Panthers had a winning record. Well, no, I can't go all the way back there. They were 3-0 with Teddy Bridgewater. I want to say in what 21.
21?
Yeah. So that was cool. And then I think they lost the next four, or something like that.
Or no, maybe that was 20.
I can't recall.
Because Darnold was 20. Darnold came in 21 because I came in 22 and he had already been here a year. So yeah, it's 20.
Okay. Well, and Sam Darnold started off hot one of those years too. Anyway, the point is, I just simply I don't have any experience covering a team that is in the
Confident?
well, no, that's in 8 games into a season. So if it plays out like this would be remarkable. And the way it plays out like this is Bryce Young is confident. He is playing fast. He is decisive. He has control over the offense. He is continuing to ascend like he did at the end of last year. Tataroa McMillan is turning out to be a good target for him. Their run game is intact. Chuba Hubbard stays healthy. The offensive line stays healthy. And these are all possibilities. Oh, and the defensive upgrades are really good too. These are all legitimate possibilities. So I don't think 4-4. I'm acting like it's this high and crazy thing, but I really do think it's within reach, or else I wouldn't predict it. Yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right. So week 9, they go to Green Bay November 2nd. So it's not going to be frozen over there, but it's going to be cold. Can't wait for that Appleton Hotel. The Packers host the Panthers at Lambeau, historic Lambeau. Well, not really, because it's kind of the new Lambeau Field. But cool museum there, though, if you are traveling. I have the Packers winning that one. I think their plethora of wide receivers. They've got a Rolodex of wide receivers. I like their running game. I like Jordan Love. And I like their defense too, to be honest. I'll have the Packers winning this one, a close one, but I still think the Packers win it. What do you got?
I have the Packers winning. Matthew Golden is going to burn this secondary, dude.
I'm telling you, that guy was my favorite offensive player in the draft for a reason. I think he's going to heat up the field in the Midwest. Anyway.
Frozen tundra, yeah.
With a frozen, yes. Well, it won't be frozen by then. It'll just be like a flurry, probably, but still be cold as hell. Get your cheese curds, kids. All right. So we both have them as 4-5 right now. They host the Saints. I think the Saints are going to contend for the Panthers' futility of 2023. I think if they only win 2 games, it would not shock me. And I don't think 2 of those wins would come against the Panthers. I think the Panthers are a better team. I think, I don't care who the Saints put at quarterback. I think this is a mess of a franchise. I hate how everybody's always like, there's no salary cap. They never pay for it. They still have Cam Jordan. They still have these. Well, you're seeing what's kind of happening. They're not having their cake or eating it. I think the Panthers are going to smoke the Saints at home. So I got that as a win. What do you got?
Yeah, I think they're going to win this first matchup with them because it's at home. As in, I think the Panthers are going to win. I will say, though, for this Saints team that is trying to figure literally everything out, they don't really even know who their quarterback is going to be at the moment with the Derek Carr retirement. If I'm a Panthers fan, I probably would have wished that the Panthers played them earlier in the season as opposed to week 10. But like you said, I think that the Panthers are going to be better at this point in the year than the Saints are. Panthers win 5, and I have them at 5-5 right now.
This is where it gets really tricky. Okay, so we both have 5-5. Week 11, Sunday, November 16th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 1:00 kickoff against the Falcons on the road. These teams always kind of play each other tough, but also it's always like a split, and I just think that this is going to be the Falcons' day. obviously there was the heroics of last year, but I just think it's going to be the Falcons. So I have them going to 5-6. What about you?
I have the Panthers winning,
Oh, okay.
ultimately sweeping the Falcons. I mean, this team is just built to play indoors in many
Wait,
ways.
but even with Jalen Walker and James Pierce, the most like intangibly rich group of first round picks on the face
Oh
theater.
my gosh.
Words of matter,
Yes,
Alex.
all
All
right.
right, moving
Yes,
on.
I did want Jalen. Yes, no, I did think Jalen Walker was the right pick in the first round. The way that the draft fell, I feel like I've rehearsed this like 30 times. The way the draft board fell, I think the Panthers ultimately did the right thing by getting two edge rushers in the second and third round, blah, blah, blah. And yes, I did really like James Pierce Jr. as well. That said, I mean, like,
Take the two Alex picks and lose the rest. Boom. All right. Anyway, that's going to be a bit from now on. Week 12, they have a primetime game on Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers on the road. The 49ers are like this Jekyll and Hyde like every other season, and I think it's partially because they have the weirdest personnel quirks like ever. Like they know how to scout late round talent, early round talent. It's kind of like hit or miss. Anyway, whatever. I had the 49ers winning solely because the Panthers are going to have to travel across the country and they're not used to playing night games and it's a Monday and yeah, whatever. So I have them falling to what? Is that 5-7 now? Yes, 5-7. What do you got?
and I have them losing as well. So I have the Panthers at 6-6.
Ooh, look at that. They're the regular old Steve Wilkes is what they call that. Um, week 13, they're going to host the Rams. Again, speed seems to be an issue or has been an issue, it seems like, for this team. That said, I think this is a close one. Evero knows Sean McVay very, very well. I think it's going to be a really splendid game. I think it's going to be whoever has the best quarterback play. I'm going with the Rams here.
I thought you got frozen for a second.
No, but that was fun for suspense. Yeah, November 30th at 1:00 on a short week. I just like I know the familiarity's there, but whatever. So that would put them at what now?
You're at 5-8.
5-8. So
yeah.
as they go into the bye, what do you have?
Yeah, I have the Panthers losing to the Rams because the Rams are just good. They keep finding ways to to sneak into the playoffs, and they do that by beating teams they should beat. And I imagine they consider the Panthers a team that they should beat. So, got the Rams on this one.
All right. So, we went with 5 there just because it gets us to the bye. I just think this is where the schedule kind of has the nitty gritty. But again, a lot of these games feel like toss ups. I don't think like any of these teams are particularly like exponentially better than the Panthers. Like I think the Panthers could easily flip what we're doing. I have them obviously as 5-8. You have them as 6-7. I think that fans would be really happy with that at the bye week. Do you have any commentary to add?
No, not really. Chris McCaffrey game, 49ers will be fun, but I think I'm a little like I don't think the Saints are gonna win a bunch of games this year. I don't know if they're gonna match the 2023 year that the Panthers had. That was rough, dude. That was brutal. But maybe.
Well, stick around and we'll find out. And speaking of those little devils or Saints, the Panthers come out of the bye. They're heading to New Orleans, December 14th, a Sunday at 4:00. Again, I have the Panthers beating the Saints. I don't think this will be as convincing as their home game, but I have them putting a win up on the board, making them 6-8. What do you got?
Yeah, I just went through this whole thing about the Saints not being as bad as you thought they were, but also they're coming out of a bye. Panthers are going to be super focused. And if they are 6-7, like I'm predicting they will be, they're going to be like kind of locked in. Yeah, I think they beat the Saints. I think they repeat what they did earlier in the season, and they sweep the Saints for the divisional series.
So you have them as 7-7.
7-7, yeah.
The Bucks, who have really had this team's number for a really long time, but guess what? They're on their third offensive coordinator in 3 years, and I think at some point there's going to be some regression. Now, I think the Bucks are the team to beat, but I think you get a little bit of a Christmas miracle, as you will. And as you brought up astutely, they're playing them at home the first time. I think the Panthers pull this one off. This is the one where it's like they do something special for the home crowd, and so I have them winning this one, and that would put them at 7-8. What do you got?
That was inspiring, Mike. I got him a loss. 7-8.
Boom. Okay. So the last 2 weeks of the season, we don't know when they're going to play, which is kind of fun. It's kind of like a schedule roulette, if you will.
Also, Mike, can I just say, like, at the beginning of this episode, we were very, I don't want to say stiff, but we were like trying to jam in a whole bunch of analytical things. And now we're just like being all giggly and just like, oh man, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Anyway, so with that said, I think this Seattle game is a real toss-up. I don't think they're particularly talented. I don't think the Seahawks are particularly talented. And I'm sure that Dan Morgan and Dave Canales really want to win this game. And I think they do. So I have them at 8-8 after week 17. What says you?
I have them with a loss. Okay. 7-9.
All right. This might honestly be for the division if the board falls the way that I think it will. I still think the NFC South is a 9-win division. I think the Saints are horrific. I think the Falcons can't get out of their own way as much as I like Raheem Morris. I have the Falcons finishing 7-10. So, it's up to your boys in Process Blue against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home or in Tampa, where last year, I swear to you, as the only legacy outlet beat reporter in the room, it was like watching an execution. Like it was not. It was an easy game to cover because it was over by like midway through the second quarter. But we learned that the Panthers weren't necessarily on the Bucs level. Now, obviously, the Panthers have brought in a lot of upgrades. Long story short, I have the Buccaneers winning this one and the Panthers falling to 8-9 on the season. Still a 3, just like last year, a 3-win surplus, but not making the playoffs. What do you got?
I have a loss too. So I have them finishing 7-10. Yep.
Okay. So let's kind of get into this. I have felt like this was an 8-9 or 9-8 team at best. I think 8-9 is a show of progress. 2026 is when this team wants to be a contender. I think getting to 8-9 and finishing second place in the division when the Buccaneers and giving the Buccaneers a run for their money, it is kind of, a part of a nice little stepping stone. It's showing progress. It's showing that Dave Canales can develop. It's showing that the coaching staff has put things together. In order to do this, the defense has to have been much improved. And I think it creates an outlook to where Bryce Young continues to take steps forward. I think there's like this weird correlation with Bryce where that second half of the season, everybody's like, he's arrived. I thought what he did last year was promising. I don't think it was great.
Yeah.
And I think in order for it to be great, he needs to double down on that production on a weekly basis in 2025. He's got better weapons, or he's got a better weapon in T-Mac. I think Jimmy Horn is going to surprise a lot of people. Maybe not some, because he is by far a guy that somebody in media is looking at, which we'll get into later. But I do think this team is better, and probably significantly better. I don't know if they're better enough to win the division, but I do think they are going to be in play throughout the year, and that's good news for Panthers fans. It's good news for Dave Canales and Dan Morgan. It's good news for beat writers writing about the team, as I've perfected a losing lead. But Alex, what's your overall take now that you have them as 7-10?
I think 7-10 is a really good, a really good and important kind of show of, hey, we're going to build, we're going to have no expectations going into this year, whatever. A couple, I guess it's months ago at this point, you stood on this podcast and you said the Panthers need to essentially be in contention this year. For the playoffs. They need to be able to do that this year because, this fan base can only hear we're 1 piece away, we're 2 pieces away, whatever, for so long. And I know that 7-10 isn't exactly being in playoff contention, but I mean, in my just looking back on my predictions here, the Panthers will lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their last 6 if this plays out the way I think it will. And that means that they're in really good shape in the middle of the season. By the bye week, they are competitive. That is, I mean, if I am a Panthers fan, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at week 4, the week 14 bye, and being like, are we going to be relevant there? Because for years, the Panthers haven't been relevant by their bye, and their bye is got earlier. That's the goal. And if they can achieve that, then that is a triumph in 2025, assuming that 2026 bears even more fruit. So, that's where I land.
Yeah, I think if they were to lose the way that they went on your schedule, I think it'd be a little bit less optimistic. But I do think, look, I think in order to compete in this division, you have to win your division games, and you have to beat the talent that's comparable to you. And I think that's what I have them doing for the most part. I just think, like, Atlanta always feels like a 1-1 series. Tampa Bay feels like an insurmountable bad guy at some points, even though I have them beating them at home. I think if they can win back-to-back Tampa Bay and Seattle, no matter what the end result is, people feel optimistic about this. I actually have them winning 3 in a row on their way to a really disappointing loss. But I could also see like different iterations, just like you had. So I think there's a lot to feel optimistic about here. I don't think this is a playoff team, personally. I think the playoff team comes next year when they really have a solid core. But I do think you'll see pretty significant growth. Last year, I predicted them to go 6-11. They ended up going 5-12. I forgot what your prediction was, but
5-12.
5-12. Okay, so there you go, man. You've been on the predictions, man. So maybe they'll go 7-10 this year, and I'll have, and then we'll have to praise you.
No, but like we said, I'm allowed to. I'm reserving my right to change my mind. Like,
no, we'll do another one of these after training camp for sure.
Yeah. And we'll bring more fire this next time. It's just like you said at the beginning. It's just difficult to forecast what these teams are going to look like so far away. It's difficult to see how these rookies are going to fit into these teams, because I know we're about to talk about rookie minicamp, but you can only do
it feels like.
Well, but okay, let's talk about it. You can only and I know that you have a little like rant that you want to go on, which I am like, I wish I popped some popcorn for, but like, you can only discern so much in rookie minicamp, and that's why when we have written about rookie minicamp, we've really focused on the pass catchers and the guys who you can see, oh wow, this guy's route running ability is there. Oh wow, this guy's speed is there. Like, oh yeah, Tedero McMillan might not have the fastest 40 time, but he plays really smooth. Like that's the type of stuff you can discern. How much can you truly discern about an offensive lineman, a pass rusher? I don't truly know. Maybe you can shed some insight on that. But like I get this question every single year. What can you discern from OTAs? What can you discern from rookie minicamp? And like,
I'm going to go on.
well, but outside of the speed guys,
Right.
not a ton. But you have something to say about a speed guy, right?
Yeah. So I went on the Twitters, or as it's known now, X, and I saw a bunch of notifications on my thing. So I was like, oh, did I make a poor joke? Am I being canceled? What's going on here? And it all led to a Louis Riddick tweet that said, sounds like, so he's quote tweeting himself, which it seems very self-serving, from March 1st. Wide receiver Jimmy Horn makes everything he does look so easy. Then he quote tweeted himself 2 months and like 14 days later and said, sounds like he was the best wide receiver at rookies minicamp by far. FAR, all in capitals, a but and an ellipses. Okay. Louis Riddick has worked in NFL front offices. He has had a playing career in the NFL. Very smart man. Worked in Philly, worked in a few other spots. I have a lot of respect for him as both an evaluator and a commentator. Cool. Period. I think it's a kind of intellectually dishonest when you know what you're getting out of a rookie minicamp and you are demonstrating that you have heard that a guy with notable speed was the most impressive wide receiver at a rookie minicamp. Rookie minicamp is basically throwing ball routes on air and individual drills. Okay. So one would glean, if you have some higher than elementary style of route running and you are fast, you are going to stick out. Now, our outlet, specifically me in writing, has praised Jimmy Horn all weekend. This is not to downplay Jimmy Horn whatsoever. He was terrific. But also understand what information you're taking in here. I thought T-Mac McMillan looked great as well from the standpoint of his athleticism. What stands out in these practices is athleticism, whether it's speed, whether it's leaping ability, whether it's catch radius. They both looked really good. I have a story from on Monday where Rob Moore basically goes down the list of his wide receivers, talks about the misconceptions about McMillan, about Xavier Legette, about the speed of Jimmy Horn, all that stuff. Check that out. I'm really happy with it. It's just basically a position coach talking about all of his guys. There's some Jalen Coker stuff in there for the sickos. I used to get yelled at in Jacksonville by people on the staff, jokingly, obviously, when I used to call OTAs practice. OTAs are preparation for training camp practice. So what rookie minicamp is preparation for OTAs, because most of the people in OTAs have done OTAs before, and you want to get them you want to get the rookies who haven't been used to the speed and the performance of individual drills, so it's easier to acclimate them to the regular work in the offseason program. Now everybody's in town. They kind of know what's going on, what phase of the offseason is going on. OTA, so minicamp's basically assimilating the group to what they can expect for the rest of the offseason program before OTAs. It's a rev up. OTAs then prepares you for practice. They're workouts. They're not practices. Then you get to training camp. So, while I think Jimmy Horn was sensational, I mean, his acceleration was phenomenal, I don't think it really tells you that much. It's like you being, let's say you're the only blonde beat writer in a beat group. Well, Alec, it sounds like Alex Zietlow is the best blonde beat writer from rookie minicamp. What are we talking about here? Like, cool. I think. Look, again, I think Riddick. He's a really good commentator. He's one of the guys at ESPN that I really truly trust as an evaluator, along with Jordan Reed, Ben Solak. But like, I just like.
Well, and I think
It just kind of feels really kind of asinine to me.
Well, I think one thing that, and maybe I'm taking something from your brain that wasn't like that you weren't actually trying to communicate to me, but I think you also were like, hey, is he trying to make a commentary on Tetaroa McMillan?
Right. I think.
Right.
Well, and I think that's the natural inclination of social media, right? If you're saying because people can't have nuance, and that commentary was not nuance. Sorry to cut you off, but like you were essentially saying, cool, well, McMillan was worse than a 6th-round pick.
Right.
And I think the logic there is kind of flawed when you have a jump ball guy. Like Kevin Garnett isn't impressive if he's making layups unguarded, right? But if he's grabbing that ball and he's in the post and he's pivoting and he's up and in over a guy who's 6'11", like that's, you know what I mean? Like I always find it funny. Like it's well documented. I'm a big Tracy McGrady fan. You remember how Tracy McGrady used to like post guys up like at the top of the key? And everyone's like, why is he doing that? Because he can. When you're shooting a 3 over a defender who's comparably sized or somebody smaller, and you're owning them, like that's impressive. That's literally what McMillan does in coverage. So like, I don't know how he could be impressive when he's just catching on air, right? Like, I think it's like an incomplete analysis, right? It's like reporting the schedule being out without reporting the dates and the times. How does that help me? That's why I don't get into the schedule reporting game. I mean, unless I have all the information. And that's not like a shot at anybody, but to me, it's just like empty analysis or it's empty fact sharing. Like to me, if I'm I find the NFL's use of the schedule announcement to be completely obnoxious because it alienates so many people. Yes, I understand like these networks want to get ahead and build up these things. It's May. Nobody's like on their calendar, man, I got to mark this right now before the schedule announcement that the Eagles are playing on Christmas. Like, okay, maybe.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
It'll get different. But like week 3, like, do you really like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for week 3 when the Eagles host the Atlanta Falcons. Yep, I'm definitely coming up for that one. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just kind of wish with commentary and news gathering that we push ourselves to be better. Like there's sometimes where I put out kind of surface level stuff. Everyone does that, but I just like some stuff can be controlled and you do have the time to think like, okay, cool. The Panthers will play so-and-so on week 17. Well, when is week 17? What time's the game? All that type of stuff. Don't get me wrong. People that get that information are breaking legitimate news. It's just like, to me, I want to have the full story, I guess, as somebody who is either reporting it or taking it in. That's all. But with that said, that feels like a really... Oh, wait. Just one more second is Alex holds me accountable here. 4 guys that I did think stood out.
Okay, yeah.
Along with Horn and McMillan, I thought Ethan Garbers looked pretty competent. Like for a guy who's throwing all these passes, like it's like a pitcher in spring training. Like he looked pretty good. Like he was really unfazed. Honestly, the weird thing was the only guy he really didn't seem to connect with well was his college teammate Brian Pierre for some reason. But I thought he was fine, and I've seen guys come in, especially undrafted guys, and look terrible because they put so much pressure on themselves, or they're throwing too much, or they're not talented. And he didn't check off any of those boxes, and I think that's a good step forward for him. And then defensively, I was really impressed by Lathan Ransom. He's a guy who is known for being a heavy hitter and like a dog, but I thought he looked really smooth backpedaling, and I think he's got more juice as a coverage guy than I think a lot of people are trying to give him credit for.
Mm. Yeah, no, sounds good to me. The only guy I would add to that is Mitchell Evans. I think he's going to be.
Yeah, Mitchell Evans can be a dog.
Seeing him up close, he is so much larger than his dimensions kind of offer, or make you think. And he's really coordinated.
So are you saying that he might have like a long wingspan and long arms?
Again, this is rookie minicamp, but yes, he does have. Yes, I know. I also know where you're going with this, Mike. He does have a long wingspan. He does have long arms. I think he also measured out to have big hands. Yes, we get it, man. You're obsessed with these measurables and that.
Hey, Cam Jackson looks all of the 6'6", 330 that he is billed as. By the way,
Yeah.
Holy Lord, that man is a huge human being.
Like, I think the Panthers got a really good deal, getting Mitchell Evans so late. But anyway, we are going to talk about that so much more in the future. I cannot believe that this episode ran so long. I mean, I'm cool with it, but like I did not know, I was not expecting this to run so long. Hope that you stuck around. And thanks as always for listening to our pontifications on all things Panthers with Mike, Kaye, and myself, and our wonderful producer, Zach Dennis. Please subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts by searching Processing Blue. And if you watch us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever new episodes drop. And finally, please be sure to stick to charlotteobserver.com for all your Panthers needs. Mike, stay humble, stay creative, and keep processing.